paper. That's a beautiful thing.
Does that sound like an arsonist admiring his work? No, it is an Enron trader watching California burn. At that very moment, 3 million people were losing power in a brutal heat wave. But these guys in Houston, they were popping champagne. Why? Because in Enron's eyes, those flames weren't a disaster. They were a gold mine. This company was called Enron. For 6 years, Fortune magazine hailed it as America's most innovative company. But today, you're gonna learn what their real innovation was. They didn't just invent a way to make lies legal. They figured out how to turn human misery into cash. This story starts with a boring natural gas pipeline company. Back then, the business model was simple. Dig a ditch, lay a pipe, charge a toll. Until two men met. The first was Ken Lay, always smiling. The kind of nice guy you'd meet at church. But behind that warm face was Washington's most cunning political fixer. His phone book was packed with senators and governors. Then there was Jeff Skilling. During his Harvard interview, the admissions officer asked him,
"Are you smart?"
He looked him dead in the eye and said,
"I'm smart."
It wasn't arrogance, it was his religion. He despised pipes and physical assets. To him, owning things was for fools. He sold Ken Lay a radical vision.
We don't need to own the gas. We just need to trade it.
Imagine Uber with no cars, Airbnb with no houses. Skilling was building that future in 1990. Ken Lay provided the moral cover. Skilling provided the money machine. But what they brought into Enron wasn't just a new business model. It was a poison that would later destroy countless families. Mark to market. An accounting magic that lets you spend tomorrow's lies as today's real cash. Let me explain this scam with a lemonade stand. A normal kid sells a cup, gets $2, and records $2. Honest, but boring. At Enron, they sign a contract to sell lemonade for the next 10 years. Before buying a single lemon, they project, hey, we'll probably make $1 million over the next decade. And boom, they report that million in today's books. It was financial heroin. Once you start, you can't stop. To keep the stock price up, Enron had to sign bigger and crazier contracts every single quarter. As for whether they could actually make money, who cares? The profits were already on the books, and the bonuses were already in the bank. In 2000, Enron partnered with Blockbuster for video on demand. The tech was a total pipe dream. It was a complete disaster that never earned a single cent. But thanks to this magic, they booked $110 million in profit on day one. If I imagine I made money, then I made money. That was the Enron logic. Wall Street was completely hypnotized. But money from accounting magic is ghost money. You can't use future profits to pay the electric bill. By 2000, Enron was starving for actual cash. To fill the hole, these Harvard elites chose the most brutal path: hijacking the power grid. This was the truth hiding behind that phone call. At the beginning, Enron traders gave this strategy a code name: Fat Boy. The play was simple: manually shut down power plants to create a fake shortage. When the state panicked and declared an emergency, they sold the power back at 100 times the normal price. It wasn't trading, it was extortion, and it drained billions out of the pockets of everyday people. On the eve of the collapse, he walked away with an absurd excuse: he was leaving to marry a stripper. By the late 90s, this $60 billion giant was on the brink of collapse. They simply couldn't pay their bills. Enron needed a magician, and CFO Andrew Fastow stepped into the spotlight. He masterminded an incredibly complex shell game, SPVs. These were Enron's magic trash cans hidden out of sight in the corporate backyard. Whenever a debt became too toxic for shareholders to see, Fausto would sell it to one of these shell companies. It kept the balance sheet looking pristine, while the rot was buried in the shadows. A massive Star Wars fan, Fausto gave these fraud entities names like Jedi and Shuko. He wasn't just hiding debt, he was lining his own pockets to the tune of $30 million. Every Ponzi scheme is the same. As long as new money flows in, the music keeps playing. But in early 2001, the dot-com bubble burst, and Enron's stock price began to shake. That backyard full of rot was finally coming into the light. Soon, insiders could smell the blood in the water. The first red flag was Lou Pai, the CEO of Enron Energy Services and a man with a notorious obsession for strip clubs. On the eve of the collapse, he walked away with an absurd excuse. He was leaving to marry a stripper. He used the cover to cash out $270 million before vanishing into a massive ranch. When the first mate grabs a life vest and jumps ship, you know the vessel is doomed. April 17, 2001, on an earnings call, an analyst asked the fatal question.
You're the only financial institution that can't produce a balance sheet or a cash flow statement with their earnings.
Jeff Skilling snapped in front of the entire financial world.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Asshole.
The air froze. That was more than just a curse word. It was the sound of pure fear, the desperate roar of a man trapped in a $60 billion lie finally being exposed. The dominoes fell. The next 2 months would be the darkest chapter in Enron's history. We witnessed the ultimate human evil, betrayal. Skilling resigned, using the classic excuse. He wanted to spend more time with his family. Translation: the bomb is ticking, and I am out. Ken Lay took back the reins and began a desperate performance.
And I do think that the next several months, next few years are going to be great for Enron.
He lied to his employees in a company-wide meeting, urging them to buy more stock, swearing the company was sound. In reality, he and his executives were using a backdoor to dump their shares for cash. By October 2001, the truth was out. On December 2nd, Enron filed for bankruptcy. Overnight, $60 billion in market value simply vanished. But the bankruptcy wasn't the worst part. It was the trap they set for their own people. Right before the crash, Enron suddenly locked all employee 401k accounts, citing a ridiculous reason: system maintenance. 20,000 employees watched their life savings evaporate to zero, unable to sell a single share. Meanwhile, the executives were using their private exit to escape with their fortunes.
I lost all of my retirement money, which is over $500,000. I'm going to have to work, to have a job for the rest of my life.
This wasn't a bankruptcy. It was a heist. The judgment day arrived. But was it truly justice? Andrew Fausto, the Star Wars magician, he flipped, turned state witness, and betrayed his bosses. His reward? Only 6 years in prison. Jeff Skilling, the arrogant genius, was sentenced to 24 years. Even in court, he never blinked, claiming, "I did nothing wrong. The market just went crazy." Ken Lay, the smiling hypocrite, suffered a heart attack at a luxury resort just before sentencing. His death didn't just save him from prison. It allowed his conviction to be vacated by law. This meant he kept tens of millions in illegal loot for his family to enjoy. Arthur Andersen, one of the big 5 accounting firms, went down with the ship. For shredding tons of audit documents, this century-old institution was wiped off the map. Enron gave birth to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, changing the rules of global business forever. But 20 years later, looking back at this farce, the most chilling part isn't the $60 billion loss, it is the collective blindness. Not everyone at Enron was evil, but when lies become the culture and profit becomes the only morality, most people choose silence or they choose to believe the beautiful lie. They thought they were smart enough to cheat gravity, to cheat math, and to cheat reality. But they forgot one thing. The truth might be late, but it always shows up. Enron collapsed, but the game on Wall Street never really changed. Remember the old poker saying, if you have been at the table for 30 minutes and you still don't know who the sucker is, then you are the sucker. After all, the employees who believed in Ken Lay never thought they were gambling. They thought they were investing in the future.